kerosene box or something. 2 boards off a broken box. Stepped up against it, put a chunk of wood under my backside, and sat me there. And anyhow, I said to the bloke, I said, "Gee, I said, I've got pains in the chest." I said, "I've come off a horse, I've been this." I said, "So I've never had pains in the chest like this." And I'm sitting there, and then bloke, this Albie, he was an orderly, he says to Ted, he says, "Hey, Ted," he says, "this bloke won't eat." Ted says, "Oh, if he's crooked blue, he'd be dead." And I could see him out the corner of my eye, just went, no more than that. And he was dead.
Really? Yeah.
And then Merv Dorman, he was, because I didn't know what was right. And now I passed out. That was the 2nd of May, 3rd of May, 2nd of May. And I woke up again on the 17th of May.
45? 1945? The last year of the war?
Yeah. And I said, "What was wrong with me?" "Oh, they says, pleuris and bone and yellow jaundice." I said, "How do I keep alive?" I says, "Oh, Rowley, the day you got crook, they, the 5 kilograms of sugar came into the camp, which was a month's supply. Well, because the camp never saw it all, that always went straight to the hospital bay, you know." He said, "So," he said, "you've been putting sugar down you all the time, that's kept you going." So, and now I'm sitting there, and Rowley comes in. Oh, first off, I got up to go up. I got up to go to the toilet. I fell over. He said, "You can't do that." Because I'd only been asleep last night, woke up tomorrow morning. And I said, "You can't do that." And I said, "Where's Merv?" "Oh," they said, "we shifted him, he was annoying you," but Merv had died. And anyhow, Rowley come in, and he had a glow about so high, down to nothing, you know. He said, "Go and take some blood from you." I said, "What?" I said, "I can do with all that." So they put in and filled this thing up with blood and left it sitting there in front of me. And I said, "What's going on?" I said, "It's been sitting there." I said, "When I could have used it." And I said, "Rowley only wants the white stuff off the top." I said, "Oh, yeah." So Rowley came in, I said, "What's going on?" "Oh," he says, "an old German cure." He said, "If you get somebody who survives," he says, "you take that and inject it into the next one who's got it." So he took that and injected it into a pommy kid, young McKinnon. So he kept asking McKinnon, "He's getting red hair," but anyhow, McKinnon got better. Then they came in with some beans that I said, "Where did you get them from?" They said, "Oh, Titch came there." I said, "Where did you get them from?" He said, "Well, every day the boys come in, they say how's blue." And Rowley say, "I'll give him another 2 hours." Titch betting that I wouldn't die, and the Pommies were betting against him. And they betting beans that they were scrounging from a warehouse. So they, if you weren't too greedy, get away with a few, you know, if you worked in a warehouse. And he was Titch was working in a warehouse, scrounging. And he said, and Titch won the bet. He said, "And they're the beans." He won in the bet. He sent it round to the cookhouse and said, "Give them to me to eat."
Yes. Now, Sakata camp, did it belong to a Japanese company? Or, I mean, a lot of the POW camps were owned.
No, soldiers were in charge of it.
Yeah.
Civilians used to be, look, as I was on the work, well, soldiers had marches to work and back again.
Yes.
And probably disciplines if they had to. But mostly worked with civilians. Most of the time, like when I was bringing in these logs, there was 2 women there, and they were both 28 years old. So we used to just call them Leja Hutch. And of course they used to call me Niakakutu, which was a number, of course. And then when the war was over, they come out one day and they said, "You going back to camp?" I said, "What are we going back to camp for?" They said, "Got to have a needle." I said, "Bull." I said, "Look," I said, "when did they knock us off at 1 o'clock in the afternoon just to go and have a needle?" I said, "They give us needles for smallpox and different ones that they're scared of, you know." And I said, "Have they ever done that?" He said, "No." So we never went back and we never had our needle. And now the next morning, they marched us out to work again. And now, when the work order come, nobody moved to make us move. So I went down these Japanese shielders that work was a lot. They never did, they were too nice, so they never ever once got anybody into trouble, could have been. And anyhow, I said in the best Japanese I could, make of it, with the war over, straight out. She said, "Hi." And then told me in Japanese not to tell anybody, which I understood quite well, because the Kimpi, and Ichibang had to speak, you know. So I went around the camp, and I don't think I missed anybody. I bet them 10 quid and shook their hand, the war's over. Today's the inside of training.
Yes, yes.
But anyhow, I bet them the war's over. I don't know whether I'll ever get any one of them. I never got a single 10 quid. Because most of them was English.
Yes.
There's about 200 in the camp, and there's only about 40 or 50 of Aussies in it, you know.
There were 40 or 50 Aussies.
Yeah.
As many as that, yeah. Who was Rowley's officer in the hospital hut?
I'm trying to think of that. The same Brown, I think it was. Brown.
Was he an Aussie or
no, I don't think.
A Brit?
A Pom.
A Pom, yes.
That Martin was the WO that used to be in charge there. There's one bloke, what's his name? Know it well too. But he had no teeth. I've told this before, he had no teeth because the Japs had to kill the dogs towards the end of the war in order to kill these dogs because the dogs ate tucker. So the dogs weren't allowed, they had to be killed. Well, they used the skins for leather. They didn't waste the skins, they used the skins for leather. So we asked them if we could have the dogs. So we'd have the dogs, and of course we couldn't waste any of it. We hung some up out in the cold as reserve, and we rationed ourselves so many dogs, you know, and boiled in the stew. So head and all went in, nothing was thrown out. Because just for sports. We used to save our dog's teeth out and give them to Jasper, and we regularly make himself a set of teeth out of them.
Yeah.
And Jasper never saw the distance. He was crook one day. He was there. He was crook. And he said, "I'm not going on, this is night time, you know." He said, "What we got out for it?" I said, "You show, Jasper." He said, "No, Mum." I said, "You show." He said, "No." He said, "I'm going to say," I said, "Look, Jasper," I said, "you know what will happen to you if you don't," I says, "Go out, get parade over, get back." Well, as soon as Martin yelled out Schwatsky, and we all jumped to attention, poor old Jasper dropped dead.
Yes.
So that's how crook he was.
Yeah.
And, talk about tinsmith, geez. He never had anything except a bit of metal and a rock and one and another along the Burma line. He had practically nothing.
Mm.
And we'd get a bit of tin and then make an absolute watertight bottle, billy, lid and all, with just crimping and not one bit of solder on it anywhere. And
who was making that?
Jasper Swords.
Thank you.
And anyhow, the bloke from New Zealand had made the wireless. So Jasper took the bottom off a water bottle, Aussie water bottle, put a sleeve up in it, and then put the bottom back on again, so that if a Jap picked up and shook it, there's water in the bottom. Right? And what was his name? He wasn't a mechanic, I'll tell you, he was a mathematician, but he was a lecturer from one of the universities in New Zealand. But he was making this wireless. The Japs used to have these little batteries for their torches, and the old batteries had that carbon strip in the middle. Now, he wanted the batteries, but all he wanted was the carbon out of them. So, Freddie Webb and I used to sneak around and get the carbon get the flat batteries after the Japs threw them out of their billets, and so he could get the carbon out of the batteries. Then he wanted us some wiring, couldn't he? Wiring a Jap truck was going through, and they often got bogged, and we used to have to go and give them a push. So we pinched one of the tail wires, so we cut the tail wire off the truck and give it to him. And some bloke wrote a book and mentioned it, but he must have been a bit out of plumb somewhere. He mentioned Fred and I, but he said we done it at Changi.
Yeah.
It wasn't, but we'd done it at 105.
Yes, yeah.
But they were queer. We had this Bob Otis, and he was a mechanic before he left Australia, but he was in the artillery, in Eastern States Artillery. But seeing he was in West Australia, and he'd mixed with us all the way along the Burma line. And this chap truck was bogged, and couldn't get it out. He just hopped in it, rocked it a couple of times and drove it out. And all the other Japs were quite happy, but the driver billed the daylight out of him.
So that's gratitude for you. Yeah. Tell me, Rowley Richards, do you remember whether he had teeth or whether he had no teeth?
Had what?
Did Rowley Richards have teeth?
Teeth?
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember what his mouth was like.
We had teeth at home when we saw him.
Yes, I thought that he'd got bashed on the Burma end of the line and
They
lost
could
his
have done,
teeth.
but I can't remember.
No.
I've been saying, as you see, you're not, unless you see, except when I had it was crook that period, I had sort of nothing to do. But I will say this thing, that one pair of boots come to the camp, and God knows what for, and it was nearly the end of the camp. And so anyhow, him and Brown, I forget now. Anyhow, this other chap, his other they debated and they decided to give me the boots. Only trouble is they wouldn't fit.
Wouldn't fit, yeah. Did you have any concerts at any time?
Not in Japan.
No.
Not in Japan, no.
Yeah.
Along the Burma line we did at extra factor, used to try and give a song occasionally in the Burma line.
Yes.